guys, that's your Shadow Legends. Welcome to the video. Sending some love, some positive vibes your way, especially if you need them out there today. If you're going through something, just understand that things can truly and will get better if you hang in there. Guys, this is going to be a big video because we're going to go through every faction, and I'm going to give you my totally 100% accurate, absolutely objective list of the most underrated champion in every faction. Every rarity is on the table, although I wouldn't expect many commons or uncommons, but I do have a rare or two on my list today. It's just going to be my picks for champions that I have maxed out, and I've maxed most of them, and these ones I just think are criminally underrated out there. Champions that I think can benefit almost everybody watching right now. But first, a little life update for the little Ashy Poo here. Fast forward 30 seconds if you don't care about me, boo-hoo. But, got some news, got some personal life news. I took my girlfriend to a winery in Walla Walla, Washington over the weekend, or a few days ago, depending on when you're watching this, I guess. And I actually was in cahoots with the winery, and I had a bunch of our favorite songs playing back to back to back to back. And then once she was totally freaked out by that and was checking her Bluetooth and everything else, I dropped down to the knee, boys and girls, and I finally popped the big question. And what do you know? She said yes. So I'm an engaged man.
Makes existence itself a little hard to believe, but just have faith, my dear.
Sorry, Syl. I'm very, very sorry to my my pretend Raid Shadow Legends pixel girlfriend here.
Oh, God. I don't even know how to do this. My heart's broken right now.
But anyway, just wanted to share that moment in my life with you guys. Hope you don't mind. I'll share a few pics on the screen. What the heck, right? Who cares? All right, let's get to the list, guys. Let's get to the list. Should I start with Sylvan Watchers or should I start with Bannerlords? You know what? Yeah, let's just start with Bannerlords. Who am I kidding? All right, so this is actually one of the toughest factions for me because there's so many underrated monsters here. Honestly, I love a bunch of them. I thought about giving it to Killian the Lucky. He's not anybody's idea of an amazing champion, but I love him. He's got a 2-turn stun, stealing turn meter, and AoE block active skills. I really do like Killian, but I decided to give it to Sethallia. Sethallia, and I promise they won't all be legendaries. Sethallia is very good and she's very underrated. She's very annoying to go against too. She's 108 base speed. Whenever you see those high base speeds, you know there's something more to the champion, right? Aggress is a nasty ability because you're removing all buffs and then you're doing the decrease, increase turn meter manipulation, right? So very powerful. It's a 30% enemy decrease and a 20, did I say 30? It's right in front of me and I can't read. A 20% and a 20% fill as well if 5 or more buffs are removed, which is not a very high threshold to reach either in wave content or especially in the arena. But I also wanted to point out her A2. It's a cleanse on a target ally on a 2-turn cooldown. You also grant that ally a block debuff for 2 turns and a massive heal, and then heals all other allies by 20% of their max HP and fills their turn meter by 15% if the target is fully healed, which again, this is all on a 2-turn freaking cooldown, and you're always gonna get, almost always gonna get a full heal off this, right? So you're gonna get an excess heal, you're gonna get an excess turn meter fill. This Lordly Embrace A2 is actually very underrated. Usually we see those single target abilities or single target ally buffs, and you're like, very selfish, but this is a 2-turn cooldown. It's a pretty nasty kit. So Sethallia is up first. I have to give it, when we talk about High Elves, if you're a regular viewer of this channel, you're probably like, yeah, we already know about him. But no one talks about Skeuramis still. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick and tired of the hate or the just ignorance being thrown at my man Skeuramis. This guy is a beast. He is my favorite provoker out of every epic in the game. I don't even think it's, well, I guess Frenzy the Cackler is up there too. I'm probably forgetting another one. You let me know who your favorite provoker out of all the epics are. But anyway, he's got an AoE provoke 3-turn cooldown with counterattack, continuous heal. That leads into stuns, right? Stealing turn meter with the counterattack on a provoke is the trifecta of just magic synergy in this game, because they're attacking you with a depleted turn meter because they just took a turn because they're provoked, and then we're stealing a little bit of the turn meter. We're placing a stun if they are fully depleted by this skill, right? But then his A2 is amazing. It's an AoE, decrease the duration of all enemy buffs, and then we have the decrease attack, and then we fill this champion's turn meter by 10% for each buff that has its duration decreased. you can pretty easily get 100% turn meter fill off of the AoE with damage mitigation, with the decrease the duration of all enemy buffs by 1 turn. Sometimes it's enough to remove those buffs. Man, Skeuramis is next level good. This is very legendary-esque kit that Skeuramis has. Let's move on to Sacred Order. Sacred Order, man, there was so many. Again, I mean, I'm going to say this about every faction, so I won't repeat it again. You know who's not on the damn list? This dude's not on the damn list.
I'm too good to waste my talent.
Harrier, get out of here. No, you know who I had to give it to, guys? I gotta give it to a legendary here. I thought about giving it to Bivald the Thorn, but I feel like you guys kind of know, right? I mean, he's a popular champion. I decided to go with a little bit more of a niche one in Corvis the Corruptor, right? Corvis is a very, very good champion, and he fits on all kinds of teams. He's a defense-based champion. He's pretty tanky, right? He's got a decreased attack on his A1. He's got a nice A2 ability here, Medical Miracle. It's a 3-turn cooldown, but it's a 2-time AoE hitter. First hit increases the duration of all enemy debuffs by 1 turn. Second hit increases the duration of all allied buffs by 1 turn. Very, very good ability here on his A3. Field Research attacks all enemies 2 times again. I love the AoE 2-time and then another AoE 2-time. Each hit has a chance of placing 2 poisons for 2 turns. So we get 4 poisons on an AoE. After attacking, we get poison sensitivity on enemies under 2 or more poisons. So he's a great kind of combust champion to go along with an Eleanor, to go along with a Xavia, Theodore, like one of those type of champions. Stock, right? The Broken. But overall, just very good with the buff and debuff manipulation. He's kind of an all-arounder. Obviously, he's going to be best served in areas that are susceptible to poison, right? But beyond that, that's a very, very nice A2. I really love this dude's kit. Also decrease the damage enemies under poison debuffs inflict by 5% per poison. Stacks up to 25%, which can be good against Chimera or against the Demon Lord clan boss as well. You put it all together, you got a really unique kit from a defense-based champion. All right, we're going on to Barbarians, and I'm going to go down to an epic that nobody talks about at all, right? I actually thought about giving it to Marked here. She's old school, but I feel like the word is out on Marked, you know, but big honorable mention. Not just the increased defense, big version 3-turn cooldown. She's only one of 2 champions, rares rather, in the game that have that ability, Doomscreech in her. But the block debuffs, so hard to find on a rare champion, albeit for 1 turn, but very good. Look at this. I basically just gave her a whole spotlight in the video, right? For an honorable mention.
Just figure you wanted to kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
I actually want to give it to Teshada. Yes, the champion that nobody talks about at all. She's actually not bad at all. She's not an endgame epic or anything like that, right? But she's pretty dang good. She has a 50% chance of placing the big version of an increased defense on this champion for 2 turns. Not bad. She's a defense-based champion. And then she has a triple hitter with a 100% chance to place the big version of Weaken. Not a bad ability, especially against bosses, right? And then on that A3, they gave her this buff rework. It's closer to a rework, but it was also a big buff about a year ago, and not much fanfare. But man, a revive an ally, 40% HP, 40% turn meter, heals all allies by 15% of their max HP. I'm not going to lie, it's not the strongest revive in the game, but it's on a 3-turn cooldown. Doesn't need to be booked. It's just a 3-turn cooldown flat out. A 3-turn revive on an epic champion is unheard of. So Teshada now, she's got a decent reviver on that quick turn down with the Weaken. You can do a lot worse there, and she's pretty tanky too. So I wanted to give her a shout out. No one talks about her after her buff, and I feel like they did a really good job with that buff. She wasn't a reviver at all. They totally reworked her. Wish they would do that a little bit more often. Ogryn Tribes. Oh man, I've talked about this guy before, kind of like Skeuramis, but I'm gonna go in again. It's Lorn. Man, Lorn the Cutter is so good, and nobody talks about this dude at all.
There must be a reason for that, no?
I really love him. He's an attack-based damage dealer. He can deal some damage. He's got a triple hitter, very, very good for Fire Knight on his A1. He's got heal, which he needs on his A1 ability. He deals a lot of damage, as I've already mentioned. He's got an AoE leech, which helps with the heal. He's got an AoE heal reduction, both at 100% on a 3-turn cooldown. Very effective. I love the AoE leech. Finding an AoE heal reduction Resurrection, you know, there's the Venom Mage. There's a few champions out there, but they're kind of hard to find. It's kind of a hard to find ability. And then Snatch into Darkness. 4-turn cooldown, attack one enemy, 100% when booked of decreasing the target's turn meter by 100%. Great control on that A3. I love the damage. I love the control. I love those 2 debuffs on a 3-turn cooldown. An AoE leech heal reduction, again, hard to find on one champion on an AoE. With that triple hitter, I love me some Lorne the Cutter. It's Lizardmen time, and oh, there's so many good Lizardmen, guys. There's so many good Lizardmen. I thought about getting kind of cute, and I'll give an honorable mention to Broadmaw. Broadmaw now is a permanent fusion inside this game. Well, I guess he's always been, but he got a buff, and he's actually, he's better than he used to be, right? He's a reviver. He's got some control. He's got some good buffs and turn meter, albeit the weak version of increased speed. Let's fix that. Let's fix that. But he's actually pretty good for the time that you're able to fuse him in the game. But I'm going to give it to not Slilix, but Skathix.
It's actually
Slixus.
Skathix I've talked a lot about on the channel, but he still deserves it. My man is very good. He's got a decreased speed on his A1, 50% clip. Very good. His A2, an AoE stealing a random buff from everybody on a 3-turn cooldown. I love buff steal in this game. And then his A3, Scale of the Ages is so good. It's one of the only epics, there's only a few of them out there, that have a block debuffs on a 2-turn cooldown. He also has it with the full cleanse. This is a very, very good, it's a nasty cleanse ability for an epic champion. It's one of the best out there. He also brings a shield on the same ability and a block damage on himself whenever his HP drops below 30%, some extra survivability. So you put it all together, he's cleansing, he's block debuffing, he's shielding, he's stealing, and he's decreased speeding, and decreased speed is my favorite debuff in the game. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Skathix. Skinwalker time. All right, so I think that like the quintessential underrated is like Gwendolyn, so shout out to Gwendolyn the Silent, but I actually did a whole video talking about why I think she's so underrated. And then there's some beasts, like there's some absolute appropriately rated champions here, but I'm actually gonna give some love to Sniktraak. I pulled Sniktraak kind of recently, and man, this little beaver? Man, I should know what the heck he is, right? Is he a rat? Is he a mouse? Is he a beaver? Is he a, what? He's not a beaver, Ash. What the hell is he? Is he a rat?
adorable hedgehog.
I'm an idiot. Either way, I used to read the Redwall series, my favorite series of books ever growing up, and he feels like he's straight out of that lore of Redwall. Check him out if you're into preteen fantasy or teen fantasy, whatever. Anyway, YA, there we go. Not preteen, young adult there, Ash. He's got a decreased attack. It escalates if they're under leech. He's got an AoE, decreased speed, say it with me, my favorite debuff in the game. He's got a shield on all allies, 30% of his max HP, and he's got a boatload of max HP, and he got you covered there. It's a protected if they're under leech. It all synergizes about the leech, about the shield. Very unique legendary here. An ally protect on everybody on a 3-turn cooldown, then a reflect damage, and then heals him by 50% of his max HP. A great self-heal. The reflect damage with the ally protection, with the leech, the decreased speed, all the stuff that my man has, and his kit leech on the passive, by the way, makes him a Chimera trial god. He's amazing for Chimera as well. He's amazing for support anywhere. Whenever an ally under a reflect damage is attacked, plays a leech on the attacker, reflects 50% of the damage this champion receives back to the attacker as well. This guy's really good in Chimera, in Hydra, and just an all-around really strong and very unique support champion that I was thrilled with. All right, it's Orc time, guys. Who was I gonna go with? I was gonna go with, and whenever I mention how much I love, I'm not going to pick him, I promise. I was going to go with Raka, because I think Raka's very good now, especially in Chimera. But whenever I mention my love for Nogdar the Headhunter, I get hate in the comments. People hate that I love Nogdar. You know that? But I love that little fella. I really do. Coming back with a full turn meter, it's just nasty. It's nasty. I like him in kind of the way that I like Sun Wukong. He's not as good as Sun Wukong, but I really love him. Anyway, I digressed and I didn't choose Nogdar. I went with Teela Goremane, because Teela is not an endgame superstar, like a lot of these champions. Not an endgame superstar. Well, maybe she is. Maybe she is. But she's not like SS tier, right? Is what I'm trying to say. But they nailed it with her buff so incredibly. Like, what they did to her was amazing. Very underwhelming. And then, first of all, let's start with the A1. Steal's a random buff from the target that's really strong. There's a flat out 100% steal, no books or anything required. But also has a 50% chance to steal another buff from the target if they're under 2 or more buffs. Well, obviously, they're going to be under 2 or more buffs to steal them. Shouldn't that go without saying? Do they need to include that? Either way, stealing 2 buffs on an A1, that's really strong, really strong. Pyre Striker, A2. Again, no books go to the cooldown. Very nice. An AoE with a burn for 2 turns. But she's also bringing a continuous heal on everybody. So an AoE continuous heal and a burn. And then Life Worm. It's an AoE, 100% chance when booked, of increasing the duration of HP burns. Nice to have to extend the duration of the burns you dropped on the A2 with the A3. And then we got a Leech and a Hex. Damn. They gave her a lot. They gave her a lot. She was nowhere near this good back in the day. One of the worst legendaries out there. She's also super tanky, almost 22k on the HP. She's a great burner because she brings so much else. Buff steal, heals, burn extension, leeches, hexes. Very, very good now. They did a great job with Teela Goremane. All right, guys, it's time to go to Demonspawn. I'm going to pick a champion that everybody watching this video can get. Diabolist. That's right. I'm going down to the rares. Diabolist, I've always thought she was an incredible rare champion who's campaign farmable in the last stage, stage 12 of the campaign, right? Why do I love her? Well, she's got to sleep on the A1. No, that's not why I love her. The 10% sleep is whatever, right? But the Electric Storm, she can be, until you get High Katoon in the early game, she can be your first increased speed champion, right? You need increased speed. It's on a 3-turn cooldown. She's easy to get, and it's not too intensive, the books that are required as well, right? On the A3, though, she got the positive charge. It's kind of like a mini Lysandra type ability, right? A mini Sethallia type ability here. Fills the turn meter of all allies by 15%, decrease the turn meter of all enemies by 15%. It really fits with her kit here. She's about speed and about manipulation. I really love her kit. She's a champion with a very, very high base speed for a rare. 110, and it fits with the whole motif beautifully, right? So here's why I've chose Diabolist, because I think she's very good in the early game, right? It's worth going for. Worth going for it at level 50. And then I think she sees a, her trajectory on your account is going to go down a bit. You're not going to use her for a while. But then when you get to the end game, all these annoying secret rooms that are Magic Affinity rares only, she becomes a superstar again. You can throw her in a stun set. She can help with control. She's going to bring the increased speed, everything we talked about. So actually, I'm a big fan of investing in Diabolist to level 50 at first, and then in the end game, you can use her too at level 60. So I really like Diabolist. I think she's a champion that people ought to go ahead and get. I would have chosen maybe Skimfos the Consumed as my second choice. Very interesting champion. He soaks up all the debuffs, and then he throws them back at the attacker, which is pretty cool. At the target, I should say. All right, moving on to Undead Horde. Oh, it's going to be Morrigaine. Ooh, she's good. She is sneaky good, and she looks freaky. I don't know. It's just a very interesting aesthetic. I love it, though. I love it. She's like swimming in the underwater of dead things or something. She's very fast. I love a good speedy undead goddess or whatever she is. She's got a decreased speed on the A1. I love it. 70%. Sign me up. She's stealing all buffs from an enemy. And then she's placing a True Fear on all enemies, and then placing a decreased accuracy if it's a boss instead. That's perfect because bosses can't be True Feared, so she's going to place that decreased accuracy instead. And I love the stealing all buffs from an enemy. Very powerful. She has one of those abilities too. Obviously, I'm a big fan of these type of abilities, right? Decreasing turn meter of all enemies with a filling the turn meter of all allies and the increased speed as well. Ooh, it's a really, really nice ability. Velosomancy. Velosomancy. There you go. But her passive is really nasty too. She who is death. At the start of each turn, plays a heal reduction debuff for 2 turns on the enemy with lowest HP. Can't be resisted, can't be removed, can't be spread, can't expire. Well, I guess it can expire. But either way, this She Who Is Death is one of the most annoying things ever. Also, it's amazing against Amos in the Cursed City. But man, oh man, her in the arena, she's a menace in the arena. I hate that heal reduction, but I love it when it's on my team. You open up with that great A3 ability, great control, great turn meter boost, and then you go in there, steal all their buffs, and you true fear everybody. Great control, great manipulator. I think that Morrigaine is so good, and no one really talks about this champion. Dark Elf time. All right, brace yourselves, because you've never heard of this champion. It's actually Truath. Yeah, Truath. You probably don't know, but this dude is actually one of, if not the, best raw healers in all of Raid Shadow Legends. He really is. So what does he do? Well, he's healing on the A1, this champion, okay. His A1 is a good heal for himself, which is because he brings a counterattack on himself, so he's doing a lot of A1s. He attacks all enemies. He's one of like 7 champions in the game to have a perfect veil on an AoE. So that's a very, very hard to find ability. It's why we always talk about Rector Draft being so special, being an epic who has this ability. But he also brings a strengthen on himself, a counterattack, a very selfish ability, but a perfect veil is very, very good. On the A3, Amos Infusion. This is where things get nutty. Heals a target ally by 20% of his champion's max HP. Balances HP of all allies, so you're going to get almost a complete heal on everybody. The HP levels will be brought up to the ally with the highest HP, right? After balancing, then we get an ally protection on the initial target for 2 turns. So why is he the best healer? Well, it's because of this Transmute Pain passive. Decreases the cooldown of the Amos Infusion, that big heal that we talked about, by 1 turn for every 10% of HP this champion loses. So if he loses 30% of his max HP, you get a 3-turn reduction on this ability. That's just insane. There's no ability in the game that works like this, in terms of a passive, I should say, in the game that works like this. And it allows him to just chain heal off of this A3 like a madman, right? Really powerful. You end up getting more ally protections. And you might say, but Ash, what if he's not attacked? What if there's no AoE attackers? It's because of the ally protection. He's going to be taking the damage anyway. So just by whoever you're healing, by virtue of them being ally protected, as long as they're attacked, he's still going to get the cooldown. He's a very, very good champion, very good healer, right? And nobody talks about that dude at all. I don't hear anybody talking about him. All right, we're going to go back to the basics here in Knight's Revenant. There's a lot that I could have chosen. Shout out to Executioner. He's one of my favorite rares in the game. I just love this dude. I love the AoE decreased speed. I love the turn meter manipulation. I like Ashwalker because it's me under that mask, you know? Yeah, I'm looking at you, bro.
Quit looking at me.
But I'm actually going to go with good old Walking Tomb Drang, man. This guy's so good. He's really, I really could make the case he's one of the best burners in the game, and nobody would ever answer Walking Tomb Drang if you asked who's the best burners. He's got an AoE burn that can't be resisted. Ignatius has that, but it's on like a 10-turn cooldown. Not really, it's a 4 or 5, but still. This is a 3-turn cooldown. He also has an A1 that you can instantly activate any burns on the target after attacking that also requires no accuracy. It doesn't say it here, but it's true. And then you throw on, I don't know, one of the best heals in the game on his A3, right? It's very similar to the heal that we just went over for Truath, so I won't read it all to you. It's equalization. It's really busted, man. It's really busted. He's got a built-in reflect as well. I don't know why people don't mention Walking Tomb Drang more often. Having the irresistible burn with the irresistible activation with all that healing power just makes him an incredible champion that I just don't think he gets the love he deserves. Dwarf time! I'm going to go with Goffred. Goffred Brassclad. Dwarves are funny because kind of same thing with all the remaining factions, by the way, guys. He's just like kind of one of these factions that like everybody's really good and you know about him, right? Like, yeah, Demitha, we get it. She's good. Morag, amazing, right? Geo, we get it. We get it. Acrisia, Senna, Tormund, Newt, you know, they can say the same about almost everybody. But Goffred, I like this dude. Listen, back in the day, an AoE 3-turn stun, 100%, That was special enough to be in the upper echelon of all champions in the game. Today, it's a little bit less special, but still, it's an amazing ability to have. He also is placing an increased defense on all allies. He's a defense-based champion. He's not much of a nuker, but he can still benefit his damage. He's also removing decreased defense and weaken. It's a little bit niche, but it's nice to have. And then his Brassclad. Just the AoE stun isn't enough for me. He has a provoke and a decreased defense. He's a real nuisance in the arena as well. Very good in the arena. But this passive makes him incredibly annoying to go against. Whenever an ally is attacked while under a block well, let's start with the active. It makes more sense if you read them in reverse order. I remember the first time I read this, I'm like, wait, he doesn't have block damage. What do you mean? What do you mean? All right. If an ally is about to get killed by a fatal hit, blocks incoming damage and places a block damage on them for 1 turn. Now, whenever an ally is attacked while under a block damage placed by this champion, has a 100% chance to stun the attacker. So not only do you have that preemptive block damage, but then you're stunning whoever's attacking them. It's really a great way to keep your allies alive. In CC, the biggest threats, usually the damage dealers on the enemy team, all in one passive, and you can keep CCing them with stuns and provokes on his A1 and his A2 as well. I really like that little dwarf. Shadowkin time. Man, there was a lot of choices here. I almost went with a little YSD homage to Genzin, but I didn't. It's weird because Rio Bone Spear is like a top 30, 40 champion in the game, maybe better depending. But I just love her so much that I think that it's still bonkers how people I don't hear enough about her, right? So I almost went with Rio, but it's too obvious. I almost went with Jingwan, but I almost went with Hatatsu because I love that epic. But I actually am gonna go with the guy that my loyal viewers will probably already know, and that's Gamuran. Gamuran, they nailed it with his buff, guys. Super, super strong buff. He's got the Revive. Revives a random ally each time an enemy is killed. Revives a random ally each time a block revive is placed on an enemy. And he places block revives right here with his A3. So now you have like a passive trigger of the block or of the revive vis-a-vis the block revive. He's the only champion in the game that can place block revive on dead enemies. They'll never come back. He has a true fear that he's placing for 2 turns if the target's alive. A 2-turn true fear is a great CC ability. And then he's got also the only champion who's stealing all the buffs from every enemy and then sharing. He's not selfish about it. He's gonna steal everything and then he's gonna spread it all to all allies. That's a really powerful ability. Very fun to play in the arena. I love the block active skills on his A1 as well. It's a 50%, but it's on each hit. So you get 2 shots at the 50-50 proposition of neutralizing mythicals, frankly, and anybody else, but mythicals especially. I really love what they did with Gamuran. He's nice and fast at a 109 base speed as well. All right, guys, last but certainly not least, we're going to come down in the Sylvan Watchers. There's so many good ones here. I almost went with Estrid, who I just think is one of the best champions in the game. I almost went with Lady of Irith, who had a really, really nice buff as well. I almost went with Oella. I considered even a Claydna. Maybe even making a case for the unpopular Allele. But I actually am going to go with an epic. It's not my man Pan. Pan the Bowhorn's one of my favorite epic damage dealers out there. It's actually Diana Gloompiercer, the fusion epic. I think she's really good. She really impressed me. First of all, she's an attack-based champion. She has 1421 base attack, really good for an epic. Not the best, like 1500 or so or beyond would be like SS tier, but solid with pretty decent multipliers. She has an increased crit rate and increased crit damage on herself with a veil if she kills an enemy on all allies. Pretty nice on that A3 ability on a 3-turn cooldown when booked. But this A2, Moonlight Ambuscade, you just can't call it an ambush?
Ambuscade.
Sorry about that. Anyway, teams up with 2 random allies to attack a single enemy. Allies joining will use their attack, their default skill. The 2 things I love about this ability is I love me some ally attackers. You guys know that, right? I love them. I like Catacomb Counselor. I like Fat Man. I like Morag. Diana. She joins that category. That's a top 5 ally attacker epic in the game for me. I love this ability. If the target's under a decreased defense debuff, these attacks will all ignore 20% of the target's defense. That's the first thing I love about it. Second thing I love about it is it's a 3-turn cooldown. A 3-turn cool ally attack, a very, very powerful ability. On her A1, she brings a decreased defense. Each hit with a 30% chance, 35% with sniper, not bad. And then she'll ignore shield and strengthen buffs when attacking under an increased attack, veil, or perfect veil. So you set her up with an increased attack, you get extra damage, you trigger those veils, you get an ally attack, you're ignoring their defense, 3-turn cooldown. I really like this champion. I actually kind of maxed her and used her after the fact. I didn't even release a guide on her yet. But man, she's a real stud. She's a really good addition to the game. So there it is, guys. Those are my most underrated champions in every faction in the game. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Who did I snub that you love? Let me know about it in the comments below. Much love, and as always, take care, guys.